Oh,
We are live.
okay. I can't see where we are, but I'm assuming Steve is in this camera here. We're trying all kinds of new stuff tonight, and it's some is working. Hang on just a second. So I'm in the podfeed.com/lounge right now, and let's see, who can I get near? Who is this? I'm standing next to let's see, Dave. Who's Dave? Oh, Dave Ginsburg's there. Okay. So can you guys hear me in the lounge? Oh, wait a minute. I muted Safari. Hang on. Okay, I hear you guys and I see you guys see me. So watch this. Tell me whether you can hear the intro music. Could you hear it? Could you hear the intro music? What's that? I don't know where you heard it. Yeah, so I just played it into the lounge. So we could have the audio in the lounge while with the chat over in Discord and the video over on YouTube.
And that would require people have 3 devices to listen to the live show. Or 3 screens or 3. That sounds complicated.
Yeah, that's true, Sandy. Sandy says that everybody talking, that's going to be annoying. But we got Rick and Friendly Walrus. Somebody didn't set that up. Okay, so I'm probably going to have to leave the lounge, but just in case you guys get bored with what I'm talking about, you guys could talk in here.
Am I coming through on Discord? Test 1 2 3. I may not be.
Okay, Steve is coming through. Oh, Kirshen's in Discord. Frank, I would have to be muting. I have to mute Safari to not hear you guys, but that wouldn't be a problem to me. But you guys would hear me broadcasting while you're trying to talk to each other, which would be really annoying. So I just wanted people. Yeah, I tell you what, let's leave the lounge for now. I'm going to mute it in any case. If anybody wants to go in there, and what we can do is take a break maybe and go into the lounge and play around at some point in the middle.
Sounds good.
Or if we get, oh, actually, Michael says the lounge is in sync with Discord. That's cool.
They're both equally well. Discord is it has very little delay. It's almost real time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I am going to, if nothing else, mute Safari because I can't listen over there. Okay. Safari is muted. I can leave that open. Actually, it'd probably be more fun for you guys if I leave. So I'm going to leave.
If you could just leave.
Well, actually, no. The way High Fidelity works, you can go far away from me and not listen to me.
Yeah, you just get muddled silent audio. Well, not silent, reduced audio.
Right. So for new people, this is going to be something Steve and I are talking about later. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll go really far into a corner so I'm not in the center. Well, actually, being in the center, then I guess you could find me, but try to get far away if you don't want to hear me.
So,
all right, it's time for roll call. What's that, Steve?
Where's the link to the lounge? I've lost it.
I just put it. It's podfeed.com/lounge.
Okay.
And I put it in Discord just now. In fact, you could make it be the title. You could pin it. Let's pin. All right, it's time for a roll call in any case. We've got Kevin and Dave and Jill and Kirshen, who we ran into at Macstock this weekend, and Rick and Sandy and Steve and Michael. And let's see who we got in the sidebar who's actually here. Let's see, Dave Ginsburg's here. Wait, Dave's in the regular feed. How did I miss him? And Jill. People are moving around on me. This is crazy. And Mr. Ed is here, and John and Rose and Frank rolling in the rear there. I mean, rolling up to the, well, anyway. Steve, my video looks choppy to me. Is it choppy to you?
No, it looks pretty smooth here.
Okay, coming through Mimo Call, it looks pretty janky, but that's cool. And Brian. Hey, Brian, are you new here? We didn't by any chance just meet you at Macstock, did we? Hi, Brian. I don't think he's in the I don't think he's in the live show listen. Click on live show listen in the sidebar. Oh, he said that above. Oh, okay. Brian, did you by any chance have a black and white avatar? Oh, ask, let's see. Did you have, he's not in there yet, right? A black and white avatar, Brian? Okay, good. Because I asked everybody, I've got a screenshot that I have right now. What it says is I list everybody's name and then it says, and somebody whose name I really wish I could remember.
Now you can fill it in. It's Brian.
I can fill, yeah, okay, so the heading, the title says, Small Chat with me, Steve, Sandy, Corky, Kirshen, and someone I just met, and I wish I could remember their name. I am now changing it. And I actually wrote to Sandy, Corky, Kirshen, and asked Steve, and none of us could remember your name because we are terrible people.
Just
okay,
bad memories.
Oh, Brian's not hearing any of this. What is that honking noise, Steve? Do you hear that?
Big old truck out there. That's an air horn.
Wow, that was crazy.
Test.
All right. So Brian missed that entire joke. Shoot. Oh, yeah, that is the same audio on YouTube. Okay, good. He did get it. It's a little bit delayed. That's the only difference. Let me do a sound check here on my microphone. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. That's a little loud.
I'm not hearing the folks in the room.
You aren't. Did we mute Safari?
I've got Safari up. Well, I'm running in
Hi,
Chrome.
Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Okay, did you guys hear playback of that short recording in Discord? Yes, heard it. Great, thanks. Okay, cool.
Test.
Well, this is fun of you to come, Brian. All right, so we are testing something new accidentally. You're saying test, Steve?
I'm sorry. I'm just testing in the room, and I think my voice is coming in the room, but I can't hear anybody. Maybe no one's talking in the room.
Well, I'm talking in the room.
Yeah, you all are talking.
It looked like Frank was talking. So did you mute it using, I just installed SoundSource on Steve like 10 minutes ago, so he's probably got anarchy going on there. Did you look at Safari and SoundSource?
I'm on Chrome, and Chrome is 100%. I've brought down Discord, but that shouldn't affect the room. Anyway, it's not that important.
Okay, so I am
just don't feel offended in the room when I don't respond.
Okay, so where is Discord in my list? Okay, there it is. So I'm going to mute Discord, and that's going to be how I'm going to mute Steve. Wish I could make a mini version of this or something. Okay,
if you want, I can do the. I'm talking. Do you want me to do the mute?
Okay. That's how I'm going to mute you, is like that. And then I've got to do this. Okay, so if you guys don't want to hear me in the lounge, you guys keep reposting when new people come in. Keep reposting that link for me if you would. Like, I don't think Brian probably has seen it. And Brian, we met in this high fidelity system. So, all right, it is 5:09. Time to get started. I'm going to start recording. Here we go.
Oh, I just got the room.
Nope. Not there. What happened? There we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, July 26, 2020, and this is show number 794. Well, this week's episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond was another installment of Taming the Terminal. 2 weeks ago, Bart taught us the basics of a technology called TMUX, or Terminal Multiplexer. And this allows you to access the same server in many different ways at the same time. That time, he covered how TMUX replaces the deprecated screen, but he didn't go into too much further information about it. In this rather light and easy to follow installment, he takes TMUX up a notch and shows us how to create multiple windows and multiple panes all within a single TMUX session. Like I said, it was super easy to understand, very visual, and I had a lot of fun. You can listen to this week's installment by searching for Taming the Terminal in your podcatcher of choice, or it's included in the full Chit Chat Across the Pond feed as well. And as always, you can go get Bart's fabulous tutorial show notes over at bartb.ie. And of course, there's a link in the show notes. This week, I had an absolute blast being a guest on the Clockwise podcast hosted by Micah Sargent and Dan Morin. I got to meet fellow guest and developer for Mozilla Mobile, Sawyer Blatz. If you haven't listened to Clockwise before, it's super crisp and well organized. Their tagline is 4 people, 4 tech topics, 30 minutes. And they mean it. It is exactly 30 minutes. Each person gets to make up a question, and the other people have about 2 minutes to state their answer. So there's not a lot of long, rambly stuff. It's a lot of fun. The questions we pondered this week were, the first one was, Spotify just added video support for podcasts. And this had Micah Sargent curious because he wanted to know when was the last time you watched a podcast. And then the second question from Sawyer was, with gyms closed and anxiety at all-time highs, I've been relying on technology a lot more for maintaining my physical and mental health. I'm wondering, what's your favorite health-related app or service? Next up, let's see, who was next? It was Dan asked, what's a process that you thought you could speed up / automate with tech, only to discover you basically reinvented the wheel? I got everybody laughing with my answer, so I figure I won with that one. And finally, my question was, I recently bought a mobile phone lens kit with a 15x macro and a 0.6x super wide angle lens for only $16. I figured at that price I could entertain myself for a few hours playing with it. Spoiler, it turned out to be really fun. What tech gear have you bought recently just because you thought it was so cheap you thought, why not? Anyway, I had a great time, and I hope you'll look for Clockwise in your podcatcher of choice, or you can find episode 356 at relay.fm. All right, there we go. And there was a mistake. Something was doubled in here. Let me fix that right now. Save that, and I'll make a couple of chapter marks. That one... I started playing around with a couple of different... I can unmute Steve. I can hear you now, Steve, if you talk.
Okay.
And you know you're allowed to, because I'm going to mute you like... Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This might be easier than toggling it on and off the way my inputs are in Discord, you know. I think that was a good idea of yours.
What was the idea? Muting and using SoundSource?
Yeah. Let's see. That was Taming the Terminal. TTT, what did I say it was? Was that 39, I think?
Yep, 39.
39, and... Oh, I didn't put... I need to fix that. Hang on. Safari. Oh, I got a window there. I need to go grab a link. I was still working on things at the last minute here. Taming the Terminal. Hopefully there's yeah, there it is. Okay, we'll do that. Try that, see if that works. Taming the Terminal would have been, where is it? I'll just do that. Okay. This is there. All right. And then what did I talk about next? I talked about Clockwise.
Yep.
And that one is here. And that is clockwise number 356. This here, and no, that's not clockwise. That's the wrong link. Relay.fm. This one. Oh, almost put the same one in twice. Okay, now we're down to making progress with learning the basics of Synology. All right, and this should be, it wants me to save. Has Kevin been telling me to save?
I'm sure
I don't
he
see any
has.
saves. Sure.
Kevin is always telling us to save.
Good to have a job.
Shave. Good one, Kirshen.
You'll have to, when the time comes, be sure to share all those fun screenshots. Steve is
Yes.
on the show this.
Wait, did I just
If we
lose
don't
you?
play the whole thing, we should make sure we show all those show notes.
Yes, most
Make sure
definitely.
we show on those show notes. Okay. All right. Here we go. Starting back up. And I'm going, nope, I can't mute you that way. I can mute you this way, though. There we go. All right. As I mentioned a while ago, my aged Drobo 5N died after many years of good service. The 5N for the last few years had the role of backup NAS to the newer Drobo 5N2. When the 5N died, I did what I've been itching to do for quite some time. I bought a Synology DS1019 Plus. Well, I explained back in June when I first got the Synology that I wished I could give you a full review of the device, but this thing is so feature rich and so new to me that I'll be putting out smaller pieces on it from time to time rather than one giant article. Lucky for me, Stephen Getz bought a Synology at the same time as me, so he'll be helping to answer all of my questions. The initial big change going from Drobo to Synology was going from a dedicated app for Drobo to a web interface for Synology. The Drobo app isn't bad, but it's antiquated. In fact, Catalina keeps complaining about a legacy app that will stop working soon, and the app is the Drobo dashboard. I've written to Drobo, and they promise it will be updated before the next OS, but, it just doesn't give you a warm and fuzzy feeling when you're this close to the edge. The Synology is accessed via the IP address of the device on your network with a real simple login window. When you're logged in, you're in what they call Disk Station Manager, or DSM. DSM looks like a nice, pretty Linux GUI desktop. It looks like that because that's exactly what it is. From what I can gather in my searching, it isn't any standard Linux distribution, but a modified distribution of Synology's invention. It looks like a real computer windowing system kind of encapsulated inside of a browser window. I just realized I'm talking about this as though you absolutely know what a NAS is. NAS is network attached storage. So this is a whole bunch of disk drives shoved into a box, and it's on my network. But it has this pretty web interface and a lot more to it, as you're about to hear. On the desktop remember, desktop inside this window, inside this little Linux distribution that I'm talking about. On this desktop, there are a couple of important functions that we should walk through. Package Center is where you'll get all of the fun applications you can run on the Synology. There are 57 apps written by Synology in Package Center and another 52 written by third parties. But that's not all. You can install third-party apps designed for Synology from outside of Package Center. I found a couple of resources for apps in just a quick search, like synocommunity.com and a search engine for finding third-party packages at search.synopackage.com. Now, I have no idea if these are legitimate or terrifying, so perhaps until Stephen Getz does the research for me and tells me they're safe, I'll keep myself entertained with the 109 applications available in Package Center. Another important service right there on the desktop of the Synology is called File Station. As you might suspect, this is where you manage your files, but it's been a little bit odd for me to get used to. I'm not sure you have to do it this way, but you can create separate shared folders on your network attached storage, each of which appear as a separate volume when you mount them to your Mac or PC. I say I'm not sure you have to do it because I mean, technically, you could just dump all of your data in one giant share. That might get real dumb if you start setting up things like time machine backups for your Synology, though. Once you create shared folders, you can mount them via SMB, also known as Samba, to your Mac using the Go Connect to Server option in Finder. While my Synology will be backed up to the Drobo 5N2, I first needed to get all of the data from the 5N2 onto the Synology. Now, I could have mounted the equivalent shared volume of both NAS devices to one of my Macs and then dragged the files from the 5N2 over the Synology. But that would have meant every bit of that data would have traveled up over our network twice, once from the Drobo to the Mac and then back down from the Mac to the Synology. Instead, inside File Station, you can mount a remote folder. When you mount a remote folder, you have to choose a CIFS or NFS shared folder. CIFS is spelled CIFS. I did some poking around, looked up the acronyms, and I have no idea why you would pick one over the other. I found a bunch of trade-off pages, talked about different things, why one thing was better than the other. But Stephen Getz told me to go with CIFS, so that's what I did, because then I figured I could blame him if it was the wrong decision. So now that I created these remote folders, I mounted them inside the Synology interface, I can see all of the shares on both NAS devices without mounting them every time. So that's pretty cool. It took forever, like a week, to move 8.1 terabytes of data from the Drobo to the Synology. That was mostly, though, because I was doing it in clumps, because then I could check that each piece would actually work. But I did finally get all of our data migrated. I mean, it did actually take a long time, but I did it very carefully and methodically, so I didn't just move like 1,000 files at once and then try to figure out where it got stuck, because that kind of thing always goes badly. Synology comes with a control panel, which looks at first blush like control panel on Windows or system preferences on the Mac. But I'm definitely not really comfortable in there yet. I'm confused by one thing in particular. It has a section on file services that, I don't know, feels like it belongs over in File Station to me. For example, if you want to enable Apple File Protocol, AFP, versus SMB, Samba, you don't do that in File Station. You do it in File Services inside Control Panel. File permissions are in File Station. Nope, that's a mistake. Are not in. They're in, hang on, Control Panel. Let's see, are not in File Station. And I noticed something else. Section thing belongs, where was it? Synology comes with a control panel, which looks at first blush like control panel on Windows or system preferences. I'm definitely not comfortable in there yet. I'm confused by one thing in particular. I thought I saw a typo there. Nope. That's right. Okay. Let me back that up a little bit. For example, if Synology comes with a control panel. I just start there. Maybe I'll save while I'm there. I swear there was a typo in there. All right, well, I'll find it the second time and still not get it, be able to do it. Okay. Synology comes with a control panel, which looks at first blush like control panel on Windows or system preferences on the Mac, but I'm definitely not quite comfortable in there yet. I'm confused by one thing in particular. It has a section on file services that I really think belongs over in File Station. And there's that typo. Found it when I read it one more time. Think instead of things. Okay. All right. For example, if you want to enable Apple File Protocol, AFP, versus using Samba, you don't do that in File Station. You do it in File Services inside Control Panel. Okay, that's great. But file permissions are not in File Station. They're in the Control Panel called User. I'm sure I'll get used to that, but I find myself switching back and forth between File Services and File Manager, trying to figure out where the control I need is actually located. And Fort is not a, I don't mean Fort, I mean fourth.
So you can't hear me, right, Podfeet?
Somebody remind me to put this back
can.
up when I'm done. A lot of typos I'm running into. All right. On the Drobo, there's only one user. On Synology, since it's really a Linux installation, you can create multiple users and give them different permissions. That's not a big deal in my house since I mostly trust Steve with admin privileges on things I manage, but it's kind of nice to have our own logins to the Synology. It also becomes very important, or it did become very important, I should say, when I installed the Plex server package on the Synology. It turns out that the Plex server, to see the folders with your content to make them into libraries, you have to create a user named Plex and give it permissions to those folders. So that's kind of counterintuitive to me since the folders are on the Synology where the Plex server is installed. But there you go. You create this Plex account and then Plex user, and then you give it the privileges to look at the stuff that's right where it is. Anyway, that's why I had to learn where to go to give a user privileges. It's not in the user control panel. It's not in the file services either. It's in File Station under properties of the folder itself, and permissions is where you can add a user to have access. Now, it's hard to get to because if you select the folder in File Station and open the Action menu where properties are an option, they're grayed out. You have to right-click on the folder and then choose properties. So I don't know. I think maybe that's a bug. I'm not sure. But it was really hard for me to find the right permissions options in the menus because there's lots of different places you can change permissions. At this point, even with that curious annoyance, I'm sure you're hollering at me that this is exactly where you change permissions on the Mac, right? So there was a slight difference that tripped me up, was why it was confusing. When you're in File Station and you successfully discover properties and go to the Permissions tab, this is where you can actually create the user, in this case named Plex. Anyway, I read all kinds of forum posts and I had to keep opening menus to find the one that looked like the screenshot they showed to find that answer. The good news is that Synology is so popular that there are lots and lots and lots of posts on how to do things. Every time I ever search for an answer on a Drobo question, I basically get crickets as a response to my Google search, or at best, an answer from 2014. It's kind of nice to be in the modern age finally. Now, I feel like I haven't done much with the Synology given the plethora of things it can do, but I do like knowing I have hours of entertainment available to me. Now, I mentioned turning on Plex, and I pointed it to our library of RIP movies and TV shows. Now, we own all of these discs, by the way, 350 of them at last count. Our main purpose with our Plex library is to have them backed up and to allow our children who no longer live at home to be able to watch these movies. When I got the Drobos, I tried setting up Plex on the Drobos, and that was a disaster. The processors in them were too darn slow to manage the task. Eventually, I decided to use a 2016 Mac Mini, which had no purpose in our house, that is, as a Plex server. So it had no purpose in the house, and it's been doing a passable job of serving up the movies. Now, I say passable where the definition of that term means sometimes works. To call it fiddly would be an understatement. If the Mac Mini reboots for any reason, which it seems to spontaneously do from time to time, someone has to know that happened and log back into my account. We've had all kinds of networking weirdnesses too, and it's not been a pleasant experience for anyone. Once I got the Plex server on Synology to have permission to see its own drives, the Plex server quickly downloaded all of the, I guess I'd call it album artwork, and updated the tiles, and it was in business. I had Lindsay, the nerdiest of my kids, test it out, and the movie came up immediately. She said, "That's way better," because it actually worked. Now we're still fiddling with the quality of the stream because it kind of appears that they're getting a 720p signal instead of the full definition. But you know what? What fun would this be if it worked, completely immediately? There's a lot of other services you can enable on the Synology that can only make sense if you can access it externally. For example, you can use a Synology package to replace Drobo-like functionality and even host your own office automation cloud services, not unlike Google Docs. In order to access the Synology from outside the network, they have an easy internet wizard, which offers to configure your internet connection, router port forwarding, and set up a firewall. I suspected I would not like its choices, and I took a look at what it was going to do, and sure enough, it wants to have UPnP enabled. UPnP stands for Unplug and Play, which from what Bart has explained to us is not a great idea from a security standpoint, so I backed away from this easy method. They do have a service called Quick Connect, which allows you to connect via a web browser to your Synology. You create a Quick Connect ID, or accept the one they offer you, which is sort of like a password passphrase, but not really. It can only contain letters, numbers, and dashes. Once you've chosen a Quick Connect ID, you connect to your Synology externally by going to quickconnect.to, followed by your Quick Connect ID. Now, this is http://quickconnect.to. It is not HTTPS. Don't be alarmed though. As soon as the URL resolves, it takes you to your login screen to connect to your Synology, and that screen is secure. Once you log in with Quick Connect, it's the management web interface that you have at home. So it's not a way to run the cloud services, for example, it's a way to manage the server. Now, I found an article on How To Geek regarding some problems with Quick Connect, mostly with bad passwords, and mine is a wicked good xkpastwd.net password, of course, but it suggests instead of using Quick Connect, to instead enable OpenVPN on the Synology and log in via the VPN. See? Hours more entertainment available to me. You may buy a network attached storage device, NAS, to back up data locally. Maybe you back up your music, photos, and financial data. If your NAS dies, then it's not a catastrophe because that's a backup. In our case, though, the data on our NAS is mostly data we have nowhere else. The volume is too big at 8.1 terabytes and counting to be financially feasible to back up to the cloud. One volume has personal data that could easily be backed up to the cloud, but that data is of a nature that we don't want it outside of our house. A single NAS device has the data replicated through RAID, so we should be protected from failure, right? Well, not completely. We're protected if a disk drive fails, which is the most likely scenario. But when my Drobo 5N died, the failure was that it could no longer see the hard drives. The only way I would have been able to get my data back would have been to buy another Drobo and hope it could read the disks. I can't just plug a disk into my Mac and see anything on it because it's all rated up and stuff. So this is why I have two NAS devices. In my new scenario, all original data goes onto the Synology, and then the plan was to back it up to the Drobo 5N2 that I still maintain. I explained the challenges of backing up from the Synology to the Drobo in my initial story, but in a nutshell, Steve and I have been unable to find any way. I stuttered on that because I said Steve, and it's really Steven. But in a Steven, nope, there. All right, I'm saving. I'm going to pause Steve for a second. Am I missing anything fun, Steve?
No, well, there have been a few interesting things. So, Kurt, I think it's Kurt. Let me go back in the shoot.
Kurt, what?
Kurt
Oh,
0898.
universal plug and play. Is that what you were just going to tell me?
Well, I was going to say that he, while you were talking about all this NAS stuff, he said that he's actually trying to get a time machine share working on a free NAS while watching the live stream today.
Nice. Nice. But Kurt, is it universal plug and play? Kurt?
UPnP?
Do the Synology admin pages work well on iOS? Yeah, it's just a web page, Kirshen.
The other thing I wanted to mention, Al, is occasionally I want to get your attention if something's going wrong, and I can't do that anymore since you're muting me.
Right. You can go like this. Try that.
Well, I don't even.
I'm looking. I can see you down here. So if you were to violently move, I might notice.
So if I did this, you would see that?
I might. Well, it's that or figure out why your audio is not coming through to me. That's the only options.
Well, I can mute too. I'm used to muting. I've got a mute button now on my MVI where I can easily mute the whole system.
Okay.
Right? I mean...
So you're saying... So I'm hearing you through Safari right now, by the way.
Okay.
I should have unmuted Discord. Hang on. There we go. Can I still hear you?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Oh, that's much better. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, if you mute yourself, but that means you can't talk to anybody else.
I haven't been. I'm not really participating in the room right now.
Okay. You mean in the wandering around room?
The lounge, yeah.
The lounge. Okay. All right, I will find a spot to correct myself. Thank you very much, Kurt.
So I'll do my muting.
Yeah. You got to really do it, though.
Yeah, I'm used to, remember, I used to have to do it.
Oh, wait a minute. Can I mute you still? Talk to me? Nope. I'm hearing you on Discord. Yeah. So is Kurt new too? Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Kurt, that's fine. Better late than never. So I said unplug, right?
Yeah, you said unplug and play. So universal plug and play, it makes more sense.
Oh, that's perfect. Great. But yeah, so mute yourself, and I guess you're gonna just have to start talking.
Okay.
Okay, mute, please. Drobo in my initial. Let's see, where was I? I explained the. Okay. What did I just say? Nope. What I just did. I don't want to do that. I want to do that. There we go. In my initial story, I explained that Robo 5 and 2 that I still maintain. Okay, I will try to do that. Okay. I explained the challenges of backing up from the Synology to the Drobo in my initial story about the Synology, but in a nutshell, Stephen and I have been unable to find any way to back up directly between the two devices without utilizing another computer. As I explained in talk about moving the initial data from the Synology to the 5N2, it's inefficient to have all the data crawl up the Ethernet cable from one NAS to the Mac and then back down to the second NAS. But at this point, that's my only choice unless somebody tells me a better idea. The work I've done in the past 2 weeks has been to use Carbon Copy Cloner to attempt to back up from one to the other via the Mac Mini. I say attempt because I've had mixed success. Most of it's working. I have 7 shared volumes to back up, one of which is named Delete Me, so I can simply use it to test things like backups. So it's really 6 real volumes. Well, actually, not really. One of them is called Documents, and I don't even know what that one's for. So let's call it 5 real volumes. From least annoying to most annoying to deal with. The first one is financial and medical documents we don't want in enemy hands. It's 100% text, so the files are plentiful, but they're small. The next one is cold storage of all the data that goes into making the podcast each week. Some fairly large audio files, but a lot of littler files too. Nothing that I can't live without, but it's just kind of cool to have it. The third one is Steve's been scanning in our photo albums and putting them on the NAS. Until I catch up with them and pull them into photos on my Mac, these are the only copies of those photos. So those are lots and lots of medium-sized image files. The next one is, as I've mentioned, we've got hundreds of DVDs and Blu-rays ripped to our movie drive for Plex access. And while we do have the DVDs still, I don't think Steve wants to rip those again. So it is really important to get those backed up. And finally, the most annoying share, which was all of the original source material for Steve's videos. The files are plentiful, and most of them are gargantuan. Now, remember that the first thing I did when I got the Synology was copy all of the data from the Drobo 5N2 to the Synology. So I set up Carbon Copy Cloner on the Mac Mini to start cloning back the other way. I figured it would work really easily and quickly because the data should have been identical at that point. I started with the Delete Me share, since that's the whole job, and it worked really quickly. That was perfect. Over the next week or so, I started doing the more important shares. All of those text documents cloned immediately. The podcast audio and image files worked great too. No trouble at all with all of the RIP movies and TV shows. But then I hit Steve's monstrous large video share, and that's when things got interesting. Of our 8.1 terabytes of data, 5.4 terabytes of it are on this one share. The clone of the large video drive will run for hours or sometimes just minutes, but it just keeps having failures on different files. Carbon Copy Cloner is written by Mike Bombick, and he's possibly the most responsive, smart, and helpful developer I've ever worked with. But after weeks of work, he's out of ideas. I mean, I'm talking like 20 emails back and forth looking at log files. Here's his synopsis of the problem. I think we've exhausted every option on the Carbon Copy Cloner macOS side of the equation to make this more robust. Again, I'm seeing dropouts from both the source and the destination. I don't see any network connectivity problems, just periodic disconnects from the NAS devices and random file vanished messages. That is, a file was indicated as contained by a folder, but then the NAS claims the file isn't actually there. I put an example of a typical error message into the show notes in case anyone reading or listening has an epiphany about this. And you can see where it'll just say disappeared from source, or it'll, one of my favorites. Let's see, the source NAS volume indicated this file was in its parent folder, but when Carbon Copy Cloner attempted to open the file, the NAS device reported that file did not exist. So we're not really sure what's going on there, but Mike believes that if I keep running the task regularly, it will eventually get all into sync. But until the NAS side issues get addressed, we will continue to see a low level of errors. Now, before I go to the bottom line, one of the great reasons that I do a live show in front of a live audience is if I say something stupid, somebody can correct me. And listener Kurt has joined us, I think, for the first time. Oh, he's been here a couple of times. Listener Kurt is in the live chat room at podfeed.com/live. And he said that he pointed out that I said unplug and play is what UPnP stands for. It's actually universal plug and play. So I really appreciate that correction. That was great. So the bottom line is that I'm having a lot of fun with the Synology in spite of this one share kind of giving us fits. Overall, it's way faster than the Drobo 5N2, and that 5N2 is only a couple of years old. Opening the shared folders via the Finder is really quick, which Steve and I are both really enjoying, and running Plex off the Synology is quite a bit faster than running it off the Mac Mini. We're really pleased with the Synology, and I'm super happy the Drobo 5N finally died, so I had to buy a Synology. I look forward to all the other cool, fun stuff I'll be able to do with it, and I haven't even started to look at the iOS apps for Synology. There we go. Did you just unmute yourself?
Yep.
Okay. I heard you come in. Frank's out in high fidelity. All right. Are you guys having any fun out in the lounge?
Looks like a lot of them are playing piano right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing over there? Oh, they're all on the piano at the same time?
Michael Westbay's playing piano right now, it looks like. We'll go over there and check him out.
Hang on, let me unmute Safari so I can hear them.
Yeah,
I'm getting a little confused. Hi, guys. Let's see. Oh, man. I had 4 gin and tonics on Friday night. I don't even like that phrase anymore.
It wasn't pretty.
No, Sunday was a little fragile. Oh, you did, Mike? Oh, good. Oh, about the bed making?
So this is going to be interesting on the video because they're just hearing one side of this conversation. Well,
that's a good point. But here's something.
So they're not hearing the lounge in the recorded video.
That's right. So in the lounge, they were talking about my presence on Clockwise. I could do this though.
You're going to pipe the lounge? Oh no.
I'm going to move NDI to the lounge.
Oh boy, you're going to cross the beams.
I am. Okay, Steve, check and see if you can make that be the screen now. There it is.
All right. There we go.
Wave at the audience, guys.
There we go.
On the video, if you can see everybody coming in and out. What's that, Sandy?
I hear Sandy, yeah.
I don't hear any growling.
I don't hear growling.
By the way, if you rotate at somebody, you're louder to them. Did I get louder, Sandy? Who's running the show?
Nobody.
Fine.
Should we get back to the show?
All right. I'm going to go back to, let's see. I got to put Hindenburg back up on the video. But that way people can see what was going on. And I'm going to mute you crazy people in Safari. And now you got to move away from me. I'll move away. I'll be courteous. I'll move away so that you guys can have your private chat here. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pop out of the lounge, guys. I mean, I'll still be there, but I won't be listening for a bit. All right.
Oh, Jill says, is there a show? Jill, here.
What's that? I don't know. Are you doing a pledge break today, Al?
Yes. Is it?
Would it be Frank? I know, but Frank's just wondering if he missed his bit.
No, he did not miss his
No, you
bit.
didn't miss it. We'll be there.
All right. I gotta find. That's not what I want. I want this to close. Okay. Oh no, I gotta send that to the blog, and there was another typo. But okay, where am I next? Okay, so the next thing is going to be Stephen P.
Oh, Stephen P.
Yes. So this lounge that you're in right now is a service called High Fidelity, and Steve and I recorded a thing about it. All right, where is Steve? Here it is. So we're going to pop us in here, and I guess I should do a chapter mark.
Yes,
and
you should.
There are screenshots for this that we
I'll
can
pop them in. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead and do it. I'm used to doing it. There's no video, Sandy. It'll just be an audio. Are you going to play the audio, the whole thing?
Yep, not the whole thing. It's 25 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, it's a quarter.
We only have 15 left, and I've got to do a bunch of other stuff.
Just give them a little teaser.
Just so that, well, we got to give Kevin time to hear you. Wait, right. Oh, Sandy said there's no video. Look at the iOS here we go. For Synology. Well, Steve and I just are coming off the high of having gone to the virtual Macstock Expo, and I actually asked him to come on here because I wanted to talk about the technology of the event and how that technology actually made the conference feel. So are you up for this, Steve?
Yeah, I am. How you doing, Podfeet?
I'm doing great. Nice to hear your voice. So I wanted to talk through a little bit of the structure and talk to you also about how this made you feel and whether you felt that they achieved the goal of making it as close as possible to an in-person event. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I wanted to explain to people was that the presentations were all pre-recorded. So they were video interviews where Mike did interviews with people or people did their own recordings. And I think that was good because that kept it crisp. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think it was. In fact, I think, was it you that made the observation that it was kind of like the most recent Apple
WWDC.
Presentation, WWDC, where everything was real crisp. It went really quickly.
Super slick, definitely.
But combined with, maybe you're about to get to this, combined with some real-time feedback.
Yeah. So that was good having that. But I went to a Comic-Con. We both went to a Comic-Con thing recently where it was an interview and it was live and it was going to be on at 5:00 and we were all excited. We got to 5:00 and it was just a video that had been posted.
Yeah, from beginning to end. And that just didn't cut it for me.
It was flat. Right? Yeah.
It was no, there was no interaction. So it felt like, well, I could have just gone to YouTube anytime to see this. It's not, and they had scheduled the event. Well, didn't need to be scheduled if you're just playing a video.
Yeah. It was very artificial, I think, that way. So the way Mike Potter got away from that was he used this cool tool I've never heard of before called Jitsi, Jitsi, from Jitsi. I think it's jitsi.org. And it's a free and open source web conferencing tool. Think like a Zoom sort of thing. And he created a private Jitsi Meet room for just the speakers. And he was in there. And the way the show started, it was Mike in front of this brick wall, right? Steve, you were noticing it looked just like the McHenry Center.
McHenry site, right? We've seen it every year at Macstock, that famous brick wall that right outside the presentation hall.
Yeah, except he had a neon sign on it that said Macstock. Well, It turns out it was all green screen, but it made us feel like we were in that. There was something about it.
I was impressed. I thought he went to McHenry and put up a neon sign that said virtual Macstock.
And he let me peek behind the curtain a little bit. He said he was talking to Oliver Breidenbach of Boinks, and Oliver suggested, he did it at first, and he said it looked really artificial, and Oliver said the trick is blur the background just a little bit.
Yep, give it that depth.
Yeah, just a little bit, and it was really believable. It was only because I saw him later in Jitsi that I could tell he was sitting in front of the green screen, so that was cool.
Sure.
So when we first saw him, he came out like that, and then he would play the video of the presentation, and then because he had the speakers collected in the speakers room, he would let us in after our presentation so we could do live Q&A.
Right.
That's what made it that piece different, right?
Most definitely, yeah, because what it did, it gave access to the direct access to the speakers for anyone who was watching. But now, granted, the input was through text, input to comments through YouTube.
Yeah, so it was the YouTube built-in YouTube chat.
Yeah, I guess technically YouTube Live.
Yeah, YouTube Live, the chat. So Dave Ginsburg was monitoring the chat, and if you put the word question in front of what you wanted to ask, then after when the speaker was brought in, Mike would hand it off to Dave Ginsburg, and Dave Ginsburg would ask the question of the speaker.
Yeah, I thought that was really well organized. You did a good job with that.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. Plus, I got to learn about a new free and open source tool. I want to play around with Jitsi Meet even more.
So did that feel like a Zoom call from your perspective as a participant?
All right, I'm going to cut us off there. Steve, put in the small chat room one.
And then the small chat where we're huddled together.
Yeah. As you were mentioning the format, Brian says, while the interviews were all good in their own way, the real magic was how the show was put together in difficult circumstances. Yeah. Not just to start to finish recording. Excellent level of audience participation in the lounge chat room. The mix of topics was also great. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's Brian. And you'll notice it says Brian under it just now because
a recent update.
Yeah. And then
this shows the value of the chat room. It only enhances the NosillaCast. Well, not to mention it's fun.
Yeah, but it was different. Like I haven't talked to Michael Westbay before, and now I have because of the lounge. Just having it right now, it's very cool.
It's pretty cool.
So oh, the other thing that was funny is you can change your name or your image on your avatar, but it uses your real name. And so Corky Heath changed his avatar. Maybe you want to pop that one in, Steve?
Okay. We will do that now. Corky has a good sense of humor.
Yes, he does. It's hilarious. All right, I'm gonna have to jump us ahead. So that was hilarious. Okay, this could be a long show because it is time for pledge break minutes.
Okay.
Bye, Steve. All right, yeah, that ending was kind of funny. All right, so next is pledge break. Okay, this is pledge break with Frank. Yes, podfeed.com/Patreon. Never know, there's URL title and it's not really a URL. All right. I love what Corky did. He's so funny. All right, it is time for pledge break. Here we go. In a few minutes.
Okay.
Bye, Steve. Whoop, a little quick. Bring that down a little bit. In a few minutes.
Okay.
Bye, Steve.
Welcome to the NosillaCast. There is no judgment here, although we do have an ever so slight Apple bias. We will help you to lead a more productive, tranquil life, but we need you to help us. Become a Patreon supporter at whatever amount you find just, or make a one-time donation to PayPal at podfeet.com. The universe will reward you handsomely for such generosity. May you have a peaceful journey and acquire the SSD of your dreams.
Well done, Frank. Loved it.
That is one of my favorites.
It was so serene. I almost fell asleep listening to that.
Exactly. So we're going to go straight from that music into this music.
Uh-oh.
Whoop, that's a little too long. Let's try it right here. All right, so that's going to be chit chat right here. All right.
Chit chat or security bits?
A security bit, sorry.
Let me check you here.
Am I having enough of these chapter marks?
Well, I just want to see what you're typing in. Security. Okay, good.
Okay, and then that should be the right URL. This was a lot this week. All right, let me see where that looks. Let's see if Bart's recording was any good this week. The one for chit chat was not. Yeah. This is interesting. Yeah, okay, good. Is it full screen right now?
Yes.
Dagnabbit. What am I doing?
Full screen Hindenburg.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah, it's Option T. That's what I was hitting. Option T. There we go. I don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden, you see all that noise on the upper track. That's all noise.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Move your cursor to it. Oh no, I can't see your cursor. That's right.
Can you see it selected?
Oh yeah.
It's selected right there. Let me deselect that. That's noise. I don't know what all that is.
Oh, and there's some spikiness to it. It sounds like it's picking something up.
It's almost like it's me. So, and then this is the bottom one, that's me, and this is Bart. So the one thing I want to use, I can't.
Oh.
But I do have, let me see. Hang on, I need to mute these tracks. Make sure I unmute them later. Let me mute that and go here.
Blink.
It's just a little blink. But let me give you a better one. I just got this new one in my repertoire.
I shall plinky the plink plinks.
Ooh, a nested
I shall
plink.
plinky the plink plinks. There's a lot of tradition going on here. All right, let's see. Whoops. I got to move these both over here. Like this, and then go like that. And then go like that. And now I can take both of these, and I can move them over to here. Let's see how that sounds. Oop, doesn't sound like anything because you forgot to unmute those tracks like you said. Well, it's that time. Too soon. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Busschots. There was some interesting stuff this week, Bart.
There was nothing. I mean, the show notes on the one hand quite short, but there's some meat here.
All right.
You want to check the end?
Yes, I do.
Well, next time, people should remember to stay patched so they stay secure.
Wow, Stephen Getz can't complain about this week. Hour and 46 minutes.
Whoa, that's a big one.
And I thought I wouldn't have enough content. Well, talking to you instead of having to write it up was so much better, man. I tried to write up.
Yeah, so you're saying I'm pretty good filler?
Yeah, you feel fine. That's it.
Yes.
I kept trying to write it up, and I couldn't get the emotion across of what it was like. You know, it was really flat. And
it was a pretty emotional discussion for me too.
Maybe we could just record together every week. And I wouldn't have to do as much work. I could just tell you stories and stop all this writing crud.
Yeah, you know how I feel about being in front of the mic.
I think you love being in front of the microphone.
I do not.
I think you changed. All right. Mute yourself, please.
Muting.
Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. You can email me at allison@podfeet.com and follow me on Twitter @podfeet. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. If you want to check out that high fidelity thing I was talking about, I just set up something called podfeet.com/lounge. If you go in there and you kind of got to get somebody else to go in there with you, or you won't understand it at all. But anyway, if you check out podfeet.com/lounge, you can go hear it and talk to people. If you want to obey Frank, you can go to podfeet.com/Patreon or podfeet.com/PayPal to make a donation to keep the show running. And if you want to join in our community like Bart suggested, go to podfeet.com/Slack, or you can join our Facebook community at podfeet.com/Facebook. See? Whatever you're thinking of, podfeet.com/that thing. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show like Brian did the first time, after meeting me and Steve in the High Fidelity Lounge at Macstock, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. All right.
All right. Good show.
And outro, NosillaCast outro. And there we go. All right. Anybody want to go back into the lounge? Go hang out? Well, I'm going to go into the lounge because I am done with most of my work and I can blather from there.
So the question is, do you want to continue to stream this? Because they won't hear the lounge.
Maybe that wouldn't make any sense. So we should probably say goodbye to the live audience there.
I think we should. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say goodbye to the video audience. And if anybody, all right, no problem. Everybody who has to get going, that's fine.
Yep.
No problem at all. If nobody wants to hang out in the lounge, that's cool. I'll just talk to Steve. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. Goodbye, Rose, if you're still here. Mwah. Goodbye.
Night, Gracie.
Nice to see you again, Kirshen.